Would you use a nuclear weapon against Iran? You posted on Truth Social a few weeks ago.
We don't need it. Why do I need it? Why would a stupid question like that be asked? Why would I use a nuclear weapon when we've totally, in a very conventional way, decimated them without it? No, I wouldn't use it. A nuclear weapon should never be allowed to be used by anybody.
Well, the mainstream media demons never seem to run out of energy or time when it comes to lying to the public and attacking the leaders who are taking down their demonic buddies all over the world. We have a big move for leadership in the Navy connected to JFK Jr. to go through today, and a huge con from Dan Scavino connecting to a very fast motorcycle. Great takedown of the left over their precious Southern Poverty Law Center, and so much more to get into, folks. We are at 500,000 plus followers on Rumble. We thank you for following us there, folks. It's so good to see that. And also for hitting that like button on our videos. It helps us get to the top of the leaderboard. We were at number 2 the other day, back to number 3 again with these next to these bigger podcaster names like Dan Bongino. You've helped us. This is your show. And I believe our Heavenly Father's been helping us out quite a bit. He's also helped us in getting out to you guys great products with our team, putting this together. Our women's 3/4 sleeve V-necks are finally here. And we have the Celebrate 250 Years. Order now in time for Independence Day for these shirts and hats. 250 years, folks, at amweknow.com. Go check it out. You'll find it there.
What do you say to the American people who question how much longer this will take? Obviously, you know that they are having higher...
You're such a disgrace. Did you hear what I just said? Vietnam. How many years was Vietnam?
I understand, sir, but
how many years
past
was
your
Vietnam?
6-week deadline, so
well, I did my... I took the country out militarily in the first 4 weeks. I took it out militarily. Now all we're doing is sitting back and seeing what deal. And if they don't want to make a deal, then I'll finish it up militarily with the other 25% of the target.
How about that? He's had enough. And they're wondering, right, this media. I mean, if you listen to her one more time, just listen to this.
What do you say to the American people who question how much longer this will take? Obviously, you know that they are having higher...
You're such a disgrace. Did you...
How much longer is this going to take with Iran? What are you going to do? And he says, do you see what I said about all these other wars? I mean, he goes to Vietnam. I mean, look how many years Vietnam took, right? Nearly 2 decades of war. World War I, World War II. How long were those? He just told us all that. So instead of taking the words that he's already given out to them, to the mainstream media, and using those words that he's already presented and using that in their broadcasts and their documents and more, nope, we're going to question him to his face and make him answer. And then folks would say, oh, he's so angry when he answers. Well, you know what? He has a right to be upset. He's given him all the information. She's only doing gotcha questions because that's what they do. All they do is sow all these seeds of doubt into the minds of the people day in and day out. And you say, well, I don't think that's very nice, or that's not very Christian-like for those that might, well, let's just remind you, there were some tables flipped and some whips put together. Well, that wasn't the same thing. Well, you know what? He had a right to be upset. We have a right to be angry, but sin not. And it really gets me upset, folks. This mainstream media, why do they even let these guys in anymore? Well, let's continue.
Are you okay with that, sir? if oil goes to 200.
I think that there's nothing worse than a nuclear weapon that takes out one of your cities or two of your cities or three. I think there's nothing worse than a nuclear weapon that's going to destroy the Middle East, including Israel. I think there's nothing worse than Europe being under attack by people that have missiles now that reach Europe. As you know, they don't reach us, but they reach Europe. But they will reach us at some time, probably the not too distant future, unless we stop them now. I think there would be nothing worse than having nuclear holocaust in Europe, London, Paris, various places in Germany, all targeted. No, what I say is you can't let them have. I don't think it will happen, by the way. I really think we actually, it turns out that we are drill, baby, drill. And it turns out we're producing a lot of oil, and they're buying the oil. They're going to Alaska. They're going to Texas, Louisiana. And our guys have done a fantastic job. We're putting out right now more oil and gas than we ever have in the history of our country. And one other thing, there are more people employed today in the United States than ever in the history of our country. Okay.
So, remember when old Kamala was out there stating that Iran was a threat, and we talked about this in our past videos and showed those clips of her stating we need to do something about Iran. And they said, what would what they're threatening America. They said they're going to, throw some bombs at us or whatever. And she said, don't. Right. And so, they were all against it and everything. And if she would have been sitting in this seat and telling them, well, we're going to, have to, we have to stop Iran because they could have had nuclear bombs hit Europe, London, Paris, various places in Germany. They could have been all targeted. They would have said, wow, we believe you, Kamala. Thank you for saving the whole world and doing this, But President Trump's telling you the information direct. But they've spent all these years, more than a decade now, lying to the people to make it look like he's this terrible person. He's given you intel. Did you realize that they had nuclear weapons? Do you realize where they were aiming these weapons? If they would have gotten a hold of nuclear weapons, where they would have aimed them? Do you realize we had to take them out? And then we're discovering the nuclear dust, right? That we need to get it back. Well, why was it here in the first place? If we need to get it back, it came from America. Well, who gave it to them? Obama and Hillary Clinton. It's just all this stuff that reporters can take, run with it, front of the newspapers, at the top of the broadcast every single day. Nope, they don't want to tell us that. All they do want to do is play gotcha. Why? Because they are all trained and paid off by evil. By evil. Thankfully, they're going to continue this to rescue the people of Iran, right, from the Islamic Republic that has taken over 47 years and destroyed them and killed thousands, hundreds of thousands of people because they didn't follow their dictators. Democrat resolution designed to force President Trump to end Operation Epic Fury failed in the Senate 46-51. The second time they tried and failed. Democrats are absolute pros at wasting time, money, and resources, all to tie Trump's hands while he gets results. Operation Epic Fury continues. President Trump stays in control. He put this out. I have ordered the United States Navy to shoot and kill any boat, small boats, though they may be. Their naval ships are all 159 of them at the bottom of the sea. That is putting mines in the waters of the Strait of Hormuz. They're dropping mines, folks. There is to be no hesitation. That's it. These boats that are coming in, they're dropping mines to cause problems and kill people. That's it. They're done. Additionally, our minesweepers are clearing the strait right now. I'm hereby ordering the activity to continue, but at a tripled up level. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Interesting, because if you take all the capital letters, 368 of them, thanks to DC Lidstone, you go to number 368 on the keyboard, on the board, the intel that goes to us around the mainstream media. We would not intentionally harm a person in the pursuit of a target. This was retaliatory. Wow. Almost like they're getting that message straight to us. Now, let's continue with the mainstream media. This is Jim Acosta's girlfriend, Elise Landers, White House correspondent, PBS NewsHour Signal.
You use a nuclear weapon against Iran. You posted on Truth Social a few weeks ago.
We don't need
That's
it.
not
Why do
what
I need it? Why would a stupid question like that be asked? Why would I use a nuclear weapon when we've totally, in a very conventional way, decimated them without it? No, I wouldn't use it. A nuclear weapon should never be allowed to be used by anybody.
Would you use a nuclear weapon? What a stupid question. Elise Landers, PBS. They let her in. There she is. I'm going to ask him another gotcha question. We're just going to play attack with him all the time. Instead of asking him normal questions, talking about the great things that are happening around the world, the 40 or 50,000 lives that were killed in Iran, that finally they're getting the families out of there and they're rescuing them. They're destroying this regime that does nothing but kill people. Instead, it's, hey, you're going to drop a nuclear weapon. Are you going to do the very things that these people were doing to their own, in their own country of Iran, that they were doing to the people there? How stupid. You see the games they play? Now, pretty soon, we're going to see some bigger moves playing out when it comes to the military, especially with the Navy. President Trump said, I'm pleased to announce that Hung Chau will be our next United States Undersecretary of the Navy. Hung is the embodiment of the American dream as a refugee to our great nation. Hung worked tirelessly to make proud the country that gave his family a home. He went to our amazing United States Naval Academy and later earned his master's degree in physics. Hung served in combat as a special operations officer for 25 years. With Hung's experience both in combat and the Pentagon, he will get the job done. Congratulations to Hung and his wonderful family. Now, I'm going to show you some interesting things about Hung Chau and how he is a very strong leader, and some videos that he put out. True American success story. Fled communist Vietnam. Rose to become our new acting Secretary of the Navy. I'm going to show you that video in a moment, and also the connections, even on the cue board. Stand by for that. Well, folks, let me tell you something straight. You know that we are the ones spending hours digging into what's really going on in the world. We question the narratives, we look at the source, and we discern to find what is real, which makes it important to do the same thing with our brain. One of the most fundamental fats needed in our brain is DHA, which is a building block omega-3 that helps to build and strengthen our neurons. Because of this, maintaining adequate DHA levels becomes even more important for mental clarity, neuroplasticity, and long-term brain support as we age. The issue is that most people get DHA from fish oil, but fish doesn't actually make DHA. They get it from algae, so why not go straight to the source? This is the question that Lance at Ascent Nutrition asked himself when he sought to create the cleanest and best tasting omega-3 product that comes from algae and not fish. If you've seen the interviews I've done with Lance, you know that he dives deep with his research and is on the same page with everything we talk about going on in the world. Lemon algae oil DHA from Ascent Nutrition gives you your DHA directly from the source algae. No fishy burps, no heavy metals, just clean and pure omega-3s. So if you're serious about staying sharp, supporting your heart, and protecting your long-term cognitive health, you need to be intentional about DHA because it is quite literally a nutrient building block for the brain. I take it and I take a few of their other products. Looking to trying it and other products for yourself, check out Ascent Nutrition's Lemon Algae Oil DHA and see what I'm talking about. Go in that description box below, go ascentnutrition.com/and-we-know, and click on the link to get it and see more.
Again, gentlemen, we came to this country with nothing. We asked nothing from this country. And I always tell people, don't come to this country and ask for the American dream if you're not willing to obey the American laws and embrace the American culture.
It's Hung Chau.
And together, we will make this America great again. Thank you so much. This is the scariest sound you will hear when you live in a communist country. This is the last sound my parents heard when their fathers were taken away in the middle of the night, and they never saw their loved ones again. That's the sound of losing your freedom, the sound of always living in fear. That's my family's real life story. We escaped from Vietnam just days before Saigon fell to the communists. We were given a new life in the most generous country on earth. America saved my life. I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. I earned a master's in physics and fellowships at MIT and Harvard before the left replaced merit with racial quotas. I spent my life trying to repay my debt to America, my country, our country, with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations, combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. But now our country has taken a dark turn. That's Joe Biden's Justice Department sending 24 armed agents to arrest a pro-life activist in front of his family. That's Joe Biden's IRS raiding a gun shop and seizing thousands of records from law-abiding gun owners, our names, our addresses, our social security numbers. That's Joe Biden arresting his challenger in the next election, a former president of the United States. And now a different sound. That's the sound of someone breaking into your home or business. The sound of crime destroying our cities and communities. That's how it all starts. They let criminals back on our streets. Millions of illegal immigrants pour across our border each year, including military-aged men from all over the world. And enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in this country. And the Biden family? Well, that's how it works in a dictatorship. The rules don't apply to the rulers. We are losing our country. You know it, but you also know you can't say it. We're forced to say that wrong is right. We're forced to lie. We can't let that happen. I've been all over the world. Believe me when I tell you, if America fails, there's nowhere else to go. I'm Hung Cao, retired Navy captain, running for United States Senate.
I just realized I said his name wrong. I said Chow, it's Cow, so I apologize for that. But I wanted to ensure that we realize who's in charge. They're at the Navy now. Undersecretary of the Navy. He's put this out on X, Twitter, probably this weekend. 23 years ago, I salvaged the plane wreckage of JFK Jr., his wife, and her sister off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. As a Navy diver, it was an honor to assist an iconic American family during such a difficult time of grief and tragedy. Very interesting. Because when you look at this, and you look at Sig Intercept on the Q board, that's right underneath where we were told April 8th, 2018, President of the United States, that's Trump, and JFK Jr. Relationship, they were friends. Plane crash 1999. Remember, they told us JFK Jr. crashed, and we already know the truth behind all of that. I've told it to you. I've explained it to you, and we went into extreme detail on those that attended the cruise about that. HRC Senate 2000, the start. Enjoy the show. The start of what? The start of the operation? Then you had Sig Intercept, old to new as the world turns. So amazing that we have the intercept and the signals put out for all of us to see. And the very guy who claimed that he salvaged the plane wreckage of JFK Jr., his wife and her sister off the coast of Martha's Vineyard, happens to be the guy that they just put in charge there. Really good stuff. Really good stuff.
The Virginia Department of Elections earlier today and asked them if they had seen any evidence of election tampering, of fraudulent mail ballots being cast in the Tuesday election, or if there was any evidence of non-citizens voting in that election. Why did you say that that election was rigged?
Well, you have mail-in ballots, and they found a lot of them at the end of the day, all of a sudden.
Another rigged election in Virginia, and he called it out. Why do you say that the election's rigged in Virginia? Here we go again. Same media, instead of taking the information that the President of the United States puts out and says, you know what, we're going to do an investigation and find out how that happened, instead of going back and watching the video showing that they flipped it within 5 minutes and somehow 40 or 50,000 ballots showed up out of nowhere so that Virginia could go back to the Democrats so they continue to win. Instead of investigating, we're going to question President Trump and make him look bad, because that's what they get paid to do.
Received no credible information related.
Well, I know you'd say that no matter what. You know, you've been saying that for years, and now they're finding out that the 2020 election was totally rigged.
That's right. She said, there's no credible information for Virginia being rigged. And he goes, you've been saying that for a while.
And when you look at what just, excuse me, How do you defend what just happened where your Southern law, whatever it is, has given money to KKK? They're supposed to protect people, and they're paying all these people, crooked as can be, millions of dollars going all to all these people that they're supposed to be protecting from, but they're actually supporting them because they want to have companies that they can protect and because they want to rig elections. That was all a rigged election. All of the things with Charlottesville, all of the stuff that they did. And you won't bring that up, but you'll bring up some nonsense. Let me tell you, the election, we were winning all day long. It's a totally horrible situation. Hopefully the courts will overturn it, what they did in Virginia. You have a grossly incompetent governor.
That's right.
You had a very good governor. He did a good job. You know, all those companies that want to move into Virginia now, they want to move out and go to a different location. So that's my opinion. I believe it was a rigged election. Virginia's known for it. It was a rigged election. They had a lot of ballots, mail-in ballots. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, you have cheating. Did you have something?
Yep. Mail-in ballots and cheating. You know, President Trump posted this right after all of this press conference and more. And it says, for those listening and not watching, it's a guy holding a sign with the USA hat, red hat. Stop telling us who broke the law and start telling us who was arrested. President Trump posted that. It's very interesting because that post was at 12:29 a.m. and Ultra MAGA Dean Erickson was all over it. Okay? And if you look at 29, right? 12:29 Eastern time, which would be 29 military time. Q29, remember Q? Being that information spigot that gives us great info around the media. Some things must remain classified to the very end. The truth would sound so outrageous, most Americans would riot, revolt, reject, etc. The pedo networks are being dismantled. Pedophile networks, folks, are being dismantled. The child abductions for satanic rituals. Haiti and other third world countries are paused, not terminated until players in custody. We pray every single day for God's guidance and direction as we truly are up against pure evil. President Trump's telling exactly why arrests aren't happening publicly yet. Has to remain classified to the very end. Americans are going to riot and revolt, and truth would be rejected. You guys realize if they arrested Obama right now, the riots that would happen, the revolt and more, knowing that he's a pedo. We are fighting against an evil that has controlled the world since Eve was deceived by the snake Satan in the garden. It's not something you can destroy too fast. By doing so, you would expose your plan, and Satan and all his demons would scatter to never be found again. President Trump and the Q team know this, so this is to be done right the first time, or this evil, also known as Satan and his demons, will continue its evil ways here on earth forever. Trust the plan because it's now or never, and I'm willing to wait for as long as it takes to eliminate Satan and his demons from this earth forever. Let's continue with this operation from the media.
Homeland security funding. Would you support them expanding that to include other tax and defense?
Well, I'd love to see one thing. You know what that is? Save America. I'd love to say the Save America Act, which is voter ID, which is proof of citizenship, which is, by the way, no mail-in voting, which is a fraud. Anytime you have mail-in voting, you're going to have a fraudulent election. But I'd leave it for military, mail-in voting for military, for people that are sick, for people that are traveling, like business or whatever, different things. But disability, where they have a problem. But no mail-in ballots. We added a couple of things. No men playing in women's sports. It's unrelated, but it's a popular thing. And no transgender mutilization of our children. So that's it.
How about that? He has to keep reminding them. We need Save America Act, voter ID, proof of citizenship. Do you guys realize anybody could fly in from anywhere in the world, go to the voting booth and vote, get back in an airplane and fly back to their country? Oh, they don't have to check for ID to find out where they're from. They don't have to even talk. They just walk in. Need ballot, please. Thank you. Boop. Check, check, check. Then they get paid off by the Democrats for that, and then they fly back home. Do you realize they could do that? And then they use the machines to manipulate the numbers. And then we wonder why so many Democrats are in power. So many liars in power. Really hoping these midterms play out the way that they're supposed to. Speaking of all this, Matt Van Swoel, boy, he's had a huge wake up this past year and a half to 2 years. He's realizing it. He said, everything about the left is fake. Once you understand it, everything makes sense. Eat the rich from your mansion. Save the planet from your private jet. Everyone is racist while you fund the racism. Billionaires are evil unless you fund our candidates. Words are violence, but my violence is actually speech. Wrong pronouns are assault, but burning a courthouse in a protest is mostly peaceful. We love immigrants unless you send them to Martha's Vineyard, then we call ICE to get them out. Democracy is sacred, they say. We're talking about what the Democrats say, or the lefts. Unless we lose, then it was stolen by Russia, misinformation, or Elon. Diversity is our strength. Unless you're a black conservative, then you're a race traitor who needs to be destroyed. Tax the wealthy, while your foundation, your trust, and your 3 LLCs are structured specifically to avoid paying a dime of it. Capitalism is oppression, posted from an iPhone on a platform worth $1 trillion while wearing merch and through the Your Merch store linked in your bio. It's all fake. It's all performative and should be endlessly mocked into oblivion. Give them zero comfort, folks. The doctrine is always designed so that the cost lands on someone else. The cashier pays for your protest. The suburban parents pays for your sanctuary city. The trade school kid pays for your student loan forgiveness. The taxpayer pays for your foundation's tax shelter. The working mom pays for your gas stove ban. The factory town pays for your Green New Deal. The girl on the swim team pays for your pronouns. The cop's widow pays for your bail reform. It's a massive evil cost transfer operation that pretends the evil they are pushing is moral. And it is just evil. Speaking of evil, I'm going to show you a clip where Gutfield on the 5 rips into Jessica Tarlov, who screams back at him, and he has to raise his voice to settle her down about the Southern Poverty Law Center and the huge info that dropped showing how they funded the very evil that they were supposed to be against. She's still claiming that the Unite the Rally in Charlottesville, remember, was completely real and organic. It was not. It was funded by the Southern Poverty Law Center. I'm going to show you that in a moment. Well, before the sun breaks the horizon, before you load your truck or head into work, there's one thing every serious person knows you need: fuel that matches your grit. Most coffee, well, it's bitter, acidic, mass-produced junk that leaves you crashing mid-morning, not Hunter's Blend. They source only the top 6% of specialty grade beans, strictly high-grown Nicaraguan SHG. Then they roast in small batches right here in central Ohio using a high-heat clean air process that burns off mold, acids, and bitterness. The result? Ultra smooth, bold flavor with zero stomach bite. Perfect black, perfect on the stand, perfect for the long haul. Choose your weapon: original medium dark for everyday power, black powder for when you need it extra bold, Java rum for a smooth twist, or their clean decaf so you never have to stop. Whole bean, ground, or single serve shots, French roasted and shipped to your door in days, not months. And we're hunters too, we get it. That's why every bag supports the causes that matter: veterans, conservation, youth, shooting sports, and freedom-loving America. No corporate nonsense, just honest, high-performance coffee for people who live boldly. So go in the description box below and click on that link to Hunter's Blend Coffee and fuel up the right way today. Hunter's Blend Coffee, shop American, because the hunt starts with the first sip.
And it's
what
exposed.
Hate crime hoax?
The liberal goes, Justice Smollett, anyone?
No, I didn't
how about
say
the
anything
banana
about Justice
peel on the
Smollett.
bench?
Yeah,
how about the
Walmart
noose
shooter
at the
is a banana
racetrack?
peel. What hoax have you actually seen here? You don't think that hundreds of people showed up at the Unite the Right rally that weren't this informant, that weren't persuaded by his vehicle that got them there?
Who was the informant?
I don't. What?
You don't know. Was it the leader? An informant is not a leader.
Do you think
it's also? I mean,
you think there are white supremacists there? That it's not real?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Are you?
All I know is I never heard of it until the day that it happened. You act like you can take the word for a bunch of corrupt people.
Proud Boys.
So you're saying this wasn't created. You're saying this just was an organic event, just like every left-wing event. It just happened. All these right-wingers showed up. Nobody else knew about it. And you know what? Nobody
people are real.
Nobody.
The white supremacists
You know
what?
Let
the call to action.
Let me do the simplest analogy. This is like when somebody says, on average, men are taller and way more than women. And then one woman goes, but what about her? And they point to a WNBA player. Yes, Jessica, I'll give you. There probably is a bigot somewhere, but you guys created a false flag.
That's right.
That there was this immense movement going on in this country that then put targets on people like Charlie Kirk's back, and he's dead. And a lot of other people were either threatened, physically attacked because of a false flag, which painted an entire, basically, millions of people as white supremacists. You guys ran with it. Imagine if Trump had not won and Kamala Harris had won. Imagine where the SPLC would be now. Imagine how torn apart this country would be. And by the way, I hope that this thing mends, but I don't know, because there are people like you, Jessica, who have such a sunk cost in this belief that this is a belief you were tricked into believing, to think that there's all these racists hiding behind every Cracker Barrel. No, you know what the racists were? They were the anti-racist black activists who saw this as a way to go after whites. This racism that you created was designed to allow for a different kind of racism. And I go back to the contrast. We don't have to defend our racists because we don't know who they are, because you create them. Meanwhile, we don't have to make up your racist because you're standing there with Hassan Piker. These guys are right there in our face.
Very, very strong. And he's been like that for a while. And she's the one that eggs him on and does this. And it just, sometimes I wonder if she's just a setup to get these things out, this information out. Is she really that deranged? What do you guys think? You know, while all this has been playing out, the Southern Poverty Law Center paid $70,000 to the leader of the American Nazi Party, a former KKK member and Aryan Nations director, the same man they had listed as an extremist on their own website. The organization that decides who is and isn't a hate group was actually funding one. You see how the enemy works? Hasn't changed. Hasn't changed at all. You know, while all this has been playing out, I found it very, very interesting that we have been exposed over and over again to other folks who continue to use the number 17. 17, that number is the letter Q. We hear this number all the time, and why? I believe it's just comes to let us know the plan is going according to order. We have to ensure that we remain in that. So before I play the 17s, I want to show you what they signed here. Regeneron, the 17th pharmaceutical giant, not the 15th, 16th, or 18th, the 17th, to sell their drugs at most favored nation drug pricing.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce that one of the most respected pharmaceutical companies anywhere in the world, frankly, I know it very well, is Regeneron, and it's agreed to offer their prescription medications at heavily discounted most favored nation prices. In other words, the numbers will come down at levels that nobody's ever seen before. With this announcement, 17 of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies,
17,
representing 80% of the branded drug market, have now agreed to sell their drugs to American patients at the lowest prices anywhere in the world. We're going to have the lowest prices in the world. This will result in the largest drop in prescription drug prices in the history of the United States of America. I mean, it should be front page news, but it won't be. It'll be back on page 19 But the people get it. That's why we're in the Oval Office, I guess.
How about that? Let's continue, okay? Listen to this.
If we created a partnership with the pharmaceutical industry.
This is Dr. Oz explaining how this is playing out after they just got done talking about how the people are actually getting what they need for hearing. Actually, let me play this first before I show you Dr. Oz. Listen to this.
We have made the decision, the unprecedented corporate commitment to provide this first of its kind gene therapy for hearing loss free to all the children in the United States who can benefit from it.
Gene therapy for hearing loss for free for the children in the United States.
And we do this, why? To hopefully highlight the power of disruptive biotech innovation and all the good that it can bring to all of our lives and our health.
There's a mom there who brought her son in who can now hear. And this is coming from George Yakanopoulos, the president of Regeneron, bringing that before them. Now, Dr. Oz was talking. Let's go back to this 17, he says, over and over.
If we created a partnership with the pharmaceutical industry that was remarkable and that it pushed 17 massive companies into the fold to try to do deals, again, unprecedented, that would allow us to claim that they were giving the most favored nation pricing to this country, to the American people. The president would not take no for an answer. We got 16 companies in, but not the 17th. How many times do you think we spoke about the 17th company?
Too much.
How many times did we talk about 17 companies? Too much. And look at everybody smiling. You think they get it? You know, we were at 16, but how many times did we talk about 17? Too much, says President Trump.
17. He said 17. He wanted to be 17. Whatever math you want to make, 16 is not 17. There's a reason that the 17th company was delayed. It's why they're here today. It's that beautiful young boy you saw earlier. When you can save a child's hearing, and Mr. President, we talked about a lot of numbers. Secretary Kennedy quoted 100%, 600%. It's hard to beat free. Free is the best price, and that's the starting price with the president oftentimes, and that's what this wonderful company has agreed to.
So he says, we got to 17 to help them hear. And we got it for free. I'm going to translate that in my own way, and you can say I'm crazy if you want. I'm just going to tell you. If you go to QAGG.news, for all those folks that might be new to this, because there are some new people that I've been talking to that said, I'm going to start listening to you. They probably don't know what in the world we're talking about with Q. But if you go to QAGG.news, they're amazing. You can scroll down. There's 4,966 what we call Q drops that will ask you questions and ask you to research, and will show you everything that's been playing out since 2017 to where we are today. Showing you the evil cabal, how many times we were given information to help us go around the mainstream media who lies every single day to our face. You can look up names, you can type search terms. You just click in there and say, I'm going to look up Obama. You can type Obama, Hillary Clinton, whatever. And it'll show you every drop that ever occurred on the Q board. It's amazing. We were given this to hear for free. I want to continue with this because I thought it was interesting that not only did we have Dr. Oz talking about it, we had the 17 number come up from another guy standing behind President Trump.
Chris, could you say a few words, please?
Chris.
Thanks, Mr. President. It's not lost on me that this year is America 250, and it's powerful, I think, to pause and remember that 250 years ago, a revolutionary free republic was born, and with it, the greatest innovation engine in the history of humanity. And we stand here today, 250 years later, getting to witness yet another groundbreaking innovation that doesn't just treat, but cures deafness in children. And because of this president and his policies around most favored nation, will enable families who are struggling and suffering with this affliction to have access to that groundbreaking therapy for free. Now, as the president mentioned, we've negotiated the 17th of 17 agreements.
The 17th of 17 agreements. 250 years, and he pauses, and we're not done. And we're watching, it's a founding of our nation. Great things happening. And we completed the 17th of the 17 agreements.
This represents 86% of the branded pharmaceutical drug market in the United States.
Now, I just look at this, and I know they're talking about hearing and pharmaceuticals and more. I'm telling you, folks, they're getting together and they want us to know what's going on. So, I'm spending some time here today with this because sometimes we just go through and we show you what's happening, around the world and what have you. But look what Dan Scavino posted. And the number of comms that come from this are phenomenal from the Q board. So for those listening, there's a motorcycle shooting across the sand, passing a whole bunch of other motorcycles going super fast. And he has a song, like a prayer. You call my name, it's like a little prayer. I'm going to take you there. In the midnight hour, I can feel your power. Just like a prayer, I'm going to take you there. And this guy is going fast. Now, I'm going to show you some stuff as he's going through this. Justice Cummins said, it's time for speed, folks. Dan with a big comm here. I feel indictments are very close now. What do you mean by big comm for those that might be new? Dan Scavino posts things. We look at the timestamps. We look at the actual footage that's in this, and we go, what does it actually mean? He's communicating with us. He's going around the mainstream media, and he's letting us know. Brandon is the spotlight. In the video, you see the motorcycles going at crazy speeds, almost 10 times the speed. The wheels of justice turn slow, but when they turn, they are powerful. We have that on the Q board, Q drop 3370. Sessions began the Epstein investigation. When that is revealed, those who doubted may see the light. The wheels of justice turn slow, but when they turn, they are powerful. 10 times speed now underway. We are back online. Now, LG Squared actually put this out there, reminding us that President Trump put this out. Operation Midnight Hammer was a complete and total obliteration of the nuclear dust sites in Iran. LG Squared said that's the dirty losers being left in the dust in the midnight hour. Remember, Operation Midnight Hammer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, just like a prayer. Your voice can take me there. See that? Let's continue. Avail theory on this post from Dan Scavino, posting that silent 1-minute video of a high-speed sand motocross race. British writer number 2, Ted Kellett, was wearing a bib number 2 on his jersey and riding a Yamaha with Monster Energy branding pins the throttle wide open across massive coastal beach sand dunes. He hits speeds up to 156 kilometers an hour, kicks up huge clouds of sand, surges forward from behind, overtakes the field, and leaves other riders as tiny distant specks. This is interpreted as a Sandman speed. Urgent, full throttle, unstoppable momentum, all gas, no brakes to rescue children from real physical danger in a corrupted never, never, never land, specifically framed as the bloody Wonderland. Core theory layers. Peter Pan. J.M. Barrie's original drafts called The Island Peter's Never, Never, Never Land, a seductive fantasy where children never grow up and become permanently isolated lost boys. Remember, that's what they've been doing to our children, folks. If you look at the true meaning of Peter Pan and find out what it's all about, woof. It's not what you think it is. Just like we talked about and other Disney things. Metallica's Enter Sandman, that song, and Scavino, remember Scavino plays that quite a bit. The chorus, exit light, enter night, take my hand, we're off to Never Never Land. That warns of hidden nighttime threats to the innocent. Scavino has repeatedly used this song as a signature in Trump rally entrances and video drops, turning Sandman into a motif for powerful awakening in action. Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch. Jackson named his ranch after Peter Pan and created a real-world paradise of rides and magic for sick and underprivileged children. He publicly spoke of protecting their innocence and shielding them from a harsh adult world, which many see as warnings about exploitation in elite circles. Q drops in Bloody Wonderland. This connects directly to Q's exact phrase, Saudi Arabia, the Bloody Wonderland, paired with Alice in Wonderland and Hillary Clinton in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Q uses this symbolism, that'd be the military operation that's been going on for a while, for deceptive elite networks and hidden corruption. The Bloody Wonderland represents a glittering fantasy realm promoted by Disney and similar cultural forces. Remember Pinocchio? They took him to the island and they had him drink and then they put him in cages. Remember they stole the children and took them to an island? Anyway, Disney, that allegedly masks real-world human trafficking of children involving rape, torture, exploitation, blood-related practices, and extreme claims of harvesting and cannibalism. The Sandman becomes the heroic rescuer racing in at full speed. Remember the video of that guy that Dan Scavino posts, echoing Q's emphasis on rapid operations and the accelerating storm against trafficking networks. The visual and spiritual parable, rider number 2, surging from behind to dominate the race, symbolizes number 2 coming from behind to win. The raw sandblasting through shifting dunes shows unstoppable force tearing through chaotic terrain. The video set to Madonna's Like a Prayer. It's gospel lyrics, divine power in the midnight hour, childlike surrender. You're in control just like a child, and heavenly praise sync with the rider's full throttle charge, turning the scene into a faith-driven call for spiritual warfare and urgent rescue. Trump's reference to Never Never Land and unrealistic fantasy reinforced rejecting these illusions. The exact 1-minute length aligns with Q's numeric motifs and full commitment themes. It's drop, signaling that Sandman speed, divinely guided high-speed action underway to save children from the real horrors of trafficking, rape, torture, and exploitation hidden in the Bloody Wonderland. Duforn saw this at the 17-second mark of this video. The racer pulls off a bold, aggressive pass and immediately charges ahead at full throttle at the 17-second mark. Kimberly Auer saw this. She said this couple of drops here, 59 and drop 59 and drop 60, 60-second video, could be 59-second video. It says 59 on the screen. But let's go to 60. You can count the people who have the full picture on 2 hands. Of those, less than 10 people, only 3 are non-military. What are you talking about? The Q team. The team that's involved, that's been part of this, probably will never know who many of them are. Why is this relevant? Game theory. Outside of a potential operator who has been dialed in with orders specific to his or her mission, nobody else has this information. Operators never divulge. Alice and Wonderland. You see the connections? We just talked about Alice in Wonderland. We talked about the connections with Disney. We're showing that Q's an operation to do what? Rescue the children, rescue our nation, and basically, in a sense, the entire earth. And we hope that it's biblical, because we're told on the Q boards, and the reason I love the Q board, one of the big reasons I love it, is it posts Bible verses over and over and over again. And I've told you, I've had friends that I met who actually got saved by reading the Q board. So go to qagg.news and read it, and you will be in shock of the stuff that you'll learn. Secretary Kennedy was there too.
We have 4.2% of the world's population. We take 13% of the pharmaceutical drugs. We spend 80% of the biotechnology research in our country, and we provide 75% of the profits to the pharmaceutical industry. This is a ripoff that has irked him for 20 years. During his first term, he held the line on drug prices for the first time in history.
It's right. 4.2% of the world's population. That's what we have. We take 13% of the pharmaceutical drugs. We spend 80% of the biotechnology research in our country, and we provide 75% of the profits to the pharmaceutical industry. Rip off. It's irked the president for 20 years. It's irked everyone. We just weren't aware of it. We're finally aware. Folks, we're waking up to so much. Watch my last video and look at many things that President Trump, since he came into office, the changes that have happened. Look what happened to our own country. You saw it in the intro if you're looking at the screen. And you're looking at this, illegal immigrants into the United States. Every dot that you see there, folks, that's flown to the United States represents 100 people. Look at that. Look at the flow of people that are going in. Remember what Honorable Mayorkas said.
That is not true. All right, so then you're saying all 9 are secure.
It is my testimony that the border is secure, and we are working every day, day and night, to increase its security.
Border secure. From 2020 to 2024, 14,100,876. But it was secure. You know, people wonder, well, why are we so involved in this? You know, these people that came in, they're so nice. And I know a few people down the street and they're illegal. I know they skipped the line. And I know that there's friends that I've had that had to wait 6-7 years and take tests to become American. I know that they went through a lot. But you know, these other people are so nice. Who cares that they broke the law? Who cares that they came across the border and broke the law and they're basically raising the prices on all of our rent? And because they're here, our prices are going up because they're stealing all of our money and we're working and they're just collecting these free food, SNAP benefits, free money, free college and everything. And we're, as Americans, we're just working so they can have everything for free. U.S. Department of Justice put this out. This morning in California, 25 members and associates of the Mexican Mafia prison gang were arrested on 3 federal indictments, charging them with committing scores of crimes, including kidnapping, extortion, trafficking, fentanyl, and methamphetamine, and running illegal gambling businesses, murdering a victim last year at a gang-controlled Anaheim motel. Multi-agency effort wouldn't have been possible without the great work of USAO Los Angeles and more. While all this is happening, check what else is going on. This is our favorite guy from CNN.
It's a success story if you're in the White House right now, the stock market is, and you can see it right here. Okay, S&P 500 shifts at this point in a presidency. You know, coming into today at the close of yesterday, look at this, up 19%. That is higher than the average president since 2001, when it was up 15%, and way, way higher than the average presidency since 1961, up 6%. So this stock market has been up like a rocket, and no wonder the president of the United States wants to talk about it. And you'll also notice, Johnny B., when the stock market is up, perhaps Democrats don't want to talk about it nearly as much.
All right. So what are people saying about whether or not it's actually a good time to be in the market?
Yeah, okay. I think one of the reasons why this number is up, this percentage is up, is pretty simple. Just take a look here. Stock owners who say that investing $1,000 into the market right now is a good idea. You see the majority of them, 52%, say it's a good idea. I will even note that even 41% of Democrats or lean Democrats who are in the stock market currently say it's a good idea to continue to invest in the stock market. So no wonder the market is up at this particular point, because those who are in it say, hey, it's a good idea to keep investing.
Well, there's other great places to invest, and we've been talking about this, and man, we got a great video coming out tomorrow, folks. What an interview we had with Dr. Kirk Elliott. Precious metals important for future of America. Revolt against the dollar is happening. Monetary reform. He shows some video clips from Judy Shelton. And I tell you what, it is going to be a powerful interview. And I hope you guys check it out. Here's a clip from that.
What Trump is doing is fighting this economic battle. And everyone thinks he's just fighting this battle against Iran or
right.
against the left and the hardcore left or against China. It's like Trump is fighting a battle to save the dollar from the world who doesn't want the U.S. dollar around. And he's doing a good job at it, right? So here's where, remember Judy Shelton when she was one of Trump's economic advisors in the first administration. She was nominated, and there was a lot of people talking about her being the next Federal Reserve chair. She didn't make it, right? They actually tried to really attack and demolish her family, and it's like, you know, and so now there's somebody else, right? But what was she? What did she believe in?
You won't believe some of the stuff that we play in the clips from her. It's just amazing. Judy Shelton's got great leadership skills when he deals with things, especially when it comes to understanding precious metals and more. You do not want to miss this tomorrow, folks. It is really cool. And we know .com/gold. If you don't want to wait, you can reach out to Dr. Kirk Elliott and his team. They will help you out, bring your IRA over, get it out of the fiat dollar and bring it over to precious metal, and you can get your silver with them too and gold. It's pretty amazing. You know, Observing Consciousness wanted us to know this. Asked a question, do you see it? We didn't flip everything at once. We flipped it layer by layer so it would hold. Trump's tariffs came first, pulling manufacturing back, resetting trade terms, and forcing companies to rethink where they build and who they depend on. Then energy was unleashed at scale: oil, gas, LNG, pipelines, driving costs down at home while shifting leverage abroad, because energy sets the terms for production, transport, and pricing across the entire system. From there, it tightened fast. Trade deals rewritten into bilateral leverage. Supply chains shortened and brought back onshore. Sanctions and export controls cutting off adversarial nodes. Capital steered through domestic rails. Military and intelligence integrated to enforce the perimeter. And technology, chips, data, AI pulled into infrastructure that can be governed. Each move reinforcing the next, removing dependency, increasing control, compressing response time. Once those layers start locking together, the system behaves differently. Energy feeds production, production feeds logistics, logistics feeds markets, markets feed capital, capital feeds technology, and all of it cycles back through a controlled loop. At that point, it no longer is a set of industries competing across borders. It is a single coordinated sovereign architecture, and that is when you understand the objective was always larger. Not to win sectors, but to bring the entire system back under sovereign alignment. Freedom for all, not riches for some. Now I'm going to move forward as we finish off today and a few more things that are pretty sickening. One of those is a couple that was accused of kidnapping a child to Cuba. Now that's what they put on the Fox News channel. It says couple accused of kidnapping a child. Not transgender couple. They didn't put trans couple. Oh, they didn't want to put that up there, did they? And notice when Fox News puts this out, I know the news is already going to be disturbing, but I want you to just notice the pronouns that Fox News uses for these men who stole a child and tried to get that child mutilated to become transgender in Cuba.
Woman and her partner are accused of kidnapping her child, allegedly
kidnapping her child,
to go take her to Cuba and get gender reassignment surgery. Madeline Rivera live in Washington with more on this. Maddie, what do we know?
Hey, good morning, Bill. So the case prompted the Justice Department to send a government plane to Cuba to bring the 10-year-old child back to the U.S. Federal officials say the child's biological father, Rose Inessa Ethington, who's now a transgender woman, and her partner took the 10-year-old for what was supposed to be a camping trip.
And her partner. No, it's and his partner. Why won't Fox call him what he is, a male?
In Alberta, Canada, late last month. But they never made it to their hotel or campground. Instead, after crossing the Canadian border, the couple allegedly flew from Vancouver to Mexico City. Then they took another flight from Mexico to Havana. All of this happening, by the way, without the knowledge and permission of the child's biological mother. Court documents don't state whether Rose and her partner were actually planning on...
And her partner. Not his partner. It's supposed to be Rose and his partner.
Getting the child gender-affirming surgery in Cuba. But the FBI says they found notes at the couple's home with instructions from a D.C. mental health therapist to, quote, send the therapist the $10,000 and instructions on gender-affirming medical care for children. Rose's partner had withdrawn that exact amount in late March, per the complaint. Family members of the 10-year-old boy say they were worried Rose had manipulated him to identify as a girl. Rose's brother tells the New York Times she had been pushing for the child to get transition surgery since he was 5 years old. This seemed to be clearly all be coming from Rose. Rose's brother says it was heartbreaking and hard for me to see. Rose and her partner have been charged with
Rose and his partner.
International parental kidnapping laws. They'll face the remainder of their court case in Utah. Bill.
I know. You're saying, well, they're going to get sued if they don't use the right pronoun. Well, why do they always get the evil ones? Why do the demon-possessed minority, tiny little percent, why do they always get everything that they want? They better call me, even though I'm a criminal, even though I tried to do this terrible thing and mutilate this child. You better call me a she. Let's go a step further here. Disgusting North Carolina school superintendent busted. I'm sorry, let me go back real quick before I show you that. For those that have children in the room, and I just did it real quick, but I'm going to show this a little bit longer. You're going to see a photo, but this is of a book that's already put out in a bunch of schools in North Carolina for these kids to see. And this guy is about to basically act like there's nothing wrong with this picture in the book. Listen to what happens. You ready?
This
This is a North Carolina school superintendent who's busted. He says there's nothing wrong with the kindergartners seeing men in BDSM leather making out.
Of course you would. You didn't know anything today again. You're clueless. Move on. Let's move on. Okay. Well, then explain to me a book titled Granddad's Pride that openly depicts two men in BDSM outfits making out is currently available in your elementary schools. So is sexual imagery allowed or not? Dr. Price, you're looking at the picture. You got the guys in the kick outfits.
He's got him looking at the picture. He said, do you see anything wrong with this? And he's looking at the picture. Listen to what he says.
I'm not sure what I'm looking at. You're not sure what
He said, I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
you're looking at, but you're okay for kindergarten to look at. Is this your goal? Is this what you want kindergarten through fourth grade? I mean, is this the goal? Is this the curriculum? Is this the studies that you want Chapel Hill Cargo School is known for? I don't understand what the challenge is. I see a pride flag, I see community, I see two couples who appear to be in a loving relationship.
I see two couples appearing to be in a loving relationship. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Breaking any laws.
They're not breaking any laws.
They're not hurting anyone.
They're not hurting anyone.
That's certainly something a child may see in their community. So I'm not
some child's going to see in their community. I mean, it's just part of life.
sure, what the challenge is there. Children are being subjected to this bill. This is a hill you want to die on, the Democrats want to die on, indoctrinating young children. I wish you the very best. You're on the wrong side of history. This committee is going to make certain that the public sees exactly what your district is doing. Last hearing, a member of the other party wrote a letter to the speaker, I'm sure you're aware of, complaining about what I read.
So he let him know. Had enough of this. You're going to allow that filth in front of these children. Reminds me, we've been talking about this board, and we had more information on the Q board than we could ever imagine. But I looked up children. I just typed in children in the search on QAGG.news, scrolled down, dropped 4908. It's one of the first ones there. And it says this. Sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. Only then will people find the will to change. Crimes against children unite all humanity. Cross party lines. Difficult truths. Q.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you again, just thanking you for how you continue to guide and direct our lives. You're amazing, Heavenly Father. You've done so many great things for us. We are not even worthy to be here. We deserve the worst because of our sin. You chose to send your Son, your only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. You chose grace and mercy, allowed us to give us and gave us the opportunity to choose whether we want to accept your Son, believe that he died, after 3 days rose again. We ask for continued protection over our president, over our leaders who are continually bombarded by evil, by these mainstream media, demon-possessed people who do all that they can to destroy the minds of the people who are just doing all they can to survive day in and day out. You heard their prayers. Most of all, you've heard the cries of the children for so many years. And we know that we have an operation put together by you to destroy this evil, rescue our country once again from satanic rituals that continue to play out day after day. Protect us from their spells, everything that they're doing against us. May we be able to someday open our eyes to see the mighty fortress that you put all around us to protect us and fight against this enemy. so deeply entrenched in so many ways. We bring this before you in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening, folks. And we hope you have a wonderful weekend. Another week where we had just day after day pummeled with so much information. It's hard to grasp sometimes. I wonder what's next, huh? But for now, this is LT, Semper Fi, with them we know. Signing out.
Would you use a nuclear weapon against Iran? You posted on Truth Social a few weeks ago.
We don't need it. Why do I need it? Why would a stupid question like that be asked? Why would I use a nuclear weapon when we've totally, in a very conventional way, decimated them without it? No, I wouldn't use it. A nuclear weapon should never be allowed to be used by anybody.